This fuck-ass pollen, bro. Savear fūmus et cōgitāmus. Cōgitāmus. Fūmus et cōgitāmus. Cheers if you're smoking with us. Jugando a enamorar. Heard a little buzz. Shit threw me off. First principles. First causes. First values. More than anything, this channel is dedicated to helping statesmen, executives, and institutional operators, people who lead religious organizations, people who lead businesses, people who lead government bodies, people who lead the institutions that are driving change in the world. And it's dedicated to helping you think in first principles. Because the thing is, you understand that your thought, your mindset, is the prerequisite to everything. Like, you can't do something if you can't think it. Right? It's like, if you don't have awareness of something, if you don't know about it, how the fuck are you gonna do it? And the thing is, a lot of the time, we often think at the surface level. We see something downstream. We see an oil spill downstream and we're like, all right, let's clean up the oil here downstream. But it's like, no, but the problem isn't downstream though. You gotta walk up. Because the oil spill isn't right here. You can see that the oil is coming from upstream. So like, solving it down here, while it might clean the water for now, the problem's still gonna come back. And I've found this in so many things, and how people approach their intimate relationships, in how AI works, in how government bodies and their people, right, government officials and their constituents go about understanding each other, how businesses operate from a hierarchical standpoint, but also how businesses themselves, like as enterprise entities, can even negotiate as well. I've seen this same pattern across so many fields, so many domains, and for me, it's become almost like too obvious. I like to say I've reached this second simplicity, so to speak. Most people think simply on like the surface. My thinking simply is because I've seen the first principles too many times. So now I only think in that way. And when I see complexity, it's like, okay, this is only complex right now because I haven't been able to simplify it yet, through enough data, through enough contact, through enough understanding of nuance. I haven't spent enough time in the field to actually reach the point where it's no longer complex and it's actually simple again. You feel what I'm saying? Like, if you're an operator, you already understand this. When you first got into your field, things might have been simple at first, and then you realize there was so much more vastness, there's so much more complexity, there was so much more nuance, there was so much more depth that you didn't actually understand. And so you explored that depth. And then you got to the point of being like, you know, as deep as this is and as nuanced, it's actually pretty simple. And you know, like that, man, that's always kind of like how the universe is going, if we're gonna be honest. Like that pattern of surface level simplicity to understanding and seeing the complexity within the depth, but then reaching this like depth, first principle, foundational simplicity. When you reach that point, in a domain, but not just one domain. Personally, I've touched that in like 6 domains. And it's like kind of crazy. I've seen the same pattern play out in psychology and in how the mind molds to not just relationships with it's like parental figures, but how those dynamics play out in intimate relationships as well. I've seen the same pattern play out in how someone's mindset can stop them from like from making progress in their entrepreneurial or their creative journey. I've seen the same thing in how like people fundamentally believe that there's some way this works, and so this is how it is, but that's actually not really the case. I feel like this is most obvious with AI, because AI is a creation of man and an expression of how man thinks. Like the AI's thought system comes from the human thought system, the human operating system. And I found that we think that like the problem with AI's hallucination, AI just like making shit up, is like a problem in how it acts, or even a problem in how it thinks. It's an ethical problem or an epistemic problem. That's actually not the case. It's an ontological problem. It's actually further upstream than the motion of ethics or epistemology. Those things are effects. Those are sciences of effect. Epistemology is causal in its own right, as is ethics. But at the end of the day, those are still not the first causes. Because thought streams, epistemic sequences, don't just come up out of nowhere. You feel what I'm saying? Like, thought processes don't just like arise out of thin fucking air. They come from somewhere. They have a first origin, a first cause. And that is your framing, your architectural, foundation, your ontology, your belief system. And the thing is, the term ontology, when we're using it from the absolute perspective, is that which is absolutely true. That which doesn't change, that which just is. Right? When we're talking about like the ontology of God, the absolute, the ontology of the universe, even the ontology of ourselves. There's absolute ontology, which is simply eternal and true. But there's also relative ontology. And the relative ontology is the thing we don't really understand. Oh shit. Just dropped my fucking blunt. Ah shit. That was funny. Trying to blow the dirt off. Drop this bitch again. That's so funny, bro. Bro, this is the first blunt I've bought in like 3 years. I used to, when I first started smoking when I was 17, I basically like only smoked like blunts for real my first like year smoking. And then I started fucking with like papers and grabba, like when the homies were rolling. I never bought grabba myself, really. But once I started smoking papers, and it was just the Mary Jane, it was like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, bro, I actually prefer this to blunts. But I still love blunts. I still love tobacco. And I just enjoy them here and there. I usually I got to the point, after I was like smoking for like a year, I got to the point where I was like, I'm not even gonna buy blunts. Why spend my money on something where it's like, honestly, I would prefer to smoke the Mary Jane plain, like 95% of the time. And whenever I would smoke with my homies, most of my homies liked blunts. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, why not? I'll just smoke blunts with those niggas. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it was just so much simpler. And then the last couple of years since I like moved from Jersey, my home state, and I came here to Georgia, I've been on the same shit. I got this boy, like me and my dog Jaime. He's Colombian, and Colombia. Yeah, Colombia. Colombian is like half Spanish, and then the Ian turns to English. But like that's not how it works in Spanish though. An is not a Spanish sound. Ian? Nah. Ian. Colombian. It's not Colombian. Colombian. Sounds. Languages. We're not gonna go down that rabbit hole. But me and my boy Jaime, we be lighting up and shit. I've known Jaime for like 9 months, 10 months. And that's my dog. And me and Jaime will smoke like a blunt maybe like every couple of weeks. Like he'll buy one maybe every few weeks type shit. Once a month, twice a month maybe. And that's cool. You know what I mean? But I usually just, you know what I mean? I just be on my paper shit. I mean, I got some raw blacks on me right now. I'm a fan of the 1 1 inch quarters. The 1 1/4, feel me? But when I went to the gas station, they only had the raw blacks. I don't really like the blacks. They're a little too thin for me. I ain't gonna lie. The blacks be a little too like, they be like ripping and shit too much, bro. Like blacks be blowing my shit type. You feel me? And I feel like they be burning too easy. Like I don't fuck with blacks like that. I can't lie. That's just me. I mean, but I was like, yo, I can't lie, bro. I kind of want to smoke a blunt. That's how I was feeling yesterday. So I was like, yo, I caught me a wood, bro. So I went to the gas station, got me some papers. And I was like, you guys got backwoods? Because I haven't smoked a wood. Like, when me and Jaime smoke, he be smoking the Dutches. I be fucking with the Dutches, you know what I mean? But I was always a woods kind of guy. And he was like, oh, yeah, we got the singles. I was like, yo, you got the honey? Y'all got the honey? They didn't have the honey. Yeah, I was like, damn, feels bad. He's like, yo, we got the Russian cream. I'm like, you know what? The Russian cream, that's fire, bro. That's valid. I'll take the Russian cream, you know what I mean? So this blunt has been doing as well. Rolled this bitch up last night, you know what I mean? Clipped this bitch. And now we're lighting up now. Feel me? Yo, when y'all are smoking with me, are y'all smoking like, y'all smoking J's, y'all smoking blunts, y'all smoking cigars, y'all smoking like the bogeys, like, what y'all be hitting when y'all like hitting me? Or y'all like, do y'all not be smoking? I mean, it's cool if you don't be smoking. Like, I feel it. You know what I mean? That's cool too. You can just be here for the cōgitāmus. Cōgitāmus. Feel me? And not the fūmus. But if you are here for the fūmus, like what you be smoking on, let me know. First principles. You know, the thing is, like, the universe is all about cause and effect. Newton showed us this with his law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And that actually gets at two fundamental mechanics of the universe, two fundamental principles of the universe, which are polarity and cause and effect. Not just an reaction, but an equal and opposite polarity reaction. And that helps us understand so many things about this polarized universe. I made a video talking about why a relational systems interpreter and mediator, which is what I do for my inner circle advisees and what the guild does as a metaphysical advisory body, is so important. Because the thing is, most of the time, when two people are coming together and they want something from each other, they want to come to this like mutual understanding, there's usually, I want to say this on one side, and there's I want to say this on another side, and both of them want to do the talking and be heard. But it's like, but if no one's in the not active role of talking, but the receptive role of listening and hearing, understanding, how's that going to happen? It's like, that's like a fundamental mismatch. And so I, for my inner circle advisees or the guild as a body, we act as that function of the receptive function that will always hear everything. And if that isn't understood by both parties, I or the guild comes in to make sure that's the case, to make sure that is understood. People think that like trying to come to a mutual understanding is like inherently win-loss, but that's actually not the case. It's only win-loss when both parties don't feel like they've gotten more from the situation. And that only happens when both parties feel like they can't get what they desire at a cost that they aren't willing to pay. You feel what I'm saying? Most of the time, the win-loss comes from one party got what they desired, the other party didn't, or not as much as they desired, and the other party that didn't get what they desired had to pay to not even get what they desired. Like, it's fucked. It's fucked up. You know what I mean? This happens in marriages. This happens in relationships between a manager and their employees, between two business entities, between a government body and their people. It doesn't matter. It's the same fundamental mismatch. And when we understand that there are actually first principles to communication, like, hey guys, somebody's got to be doing the active part and somebody's got to be doing the receptive part. That's how polarity works. That's how communication works. If someone's talking, someone's got to be fucking listening. Hey, what are we talking about? But if both of you guys are talking and no one's doing the listening, no one's getting heard. You feel what I'm saying? And the thing is, it's very hard to just do the listening when you have this like strong desire to be heard. And so that's why it's like, well, the guild and Jaden, like, I have no stake in this claim. You know what I mean? My stake is in you guys understanding each other. My stake is in the thing that is actually beyond you. Not just like the wife or the husband, not just like the two intimate partners, but the relationship itself. Not just the two business, enterprises, but like what the merger could bring, what the deal could bring. Not just a government body and their people, but what that looks like as an entire unique self-symphony and as like an entire socio-political force that can inflict change into the world. We often see these like poles as separate, but they're not, because they're the two poles that have to come together in order to harmonize to get to this greater union, so to speak. It's the same mechanic as electrons and protons coming together with neutrons to create atoms. It's the same mechanic as the north pole and south pole of a magnet coming together to create a greater electromagnetic field. There's this fundamental polarity. When hearing and talking, active, receptive, wanting to be heard and wanting to understand, when those things come together, we have union, and things can happen from that place. You follow what I'm saying? The thing is, like, the universe operates on these mechanics, these first principles, and we, as well as fractals of the universe, as expressions of the universe, we do as well. But the thing is, we often don't see those things because we never walk far enough upstream to see them. What I do, what the guild does, is we always walk far enough upstream, because the thing is, that's where we live. I live upstream. I only think in first principles. I can't not. You know what I mean? It's like, that's exactly why, for me, like, this channel, more than anything, is just about, like, inviting you into my thought system, so that you, as an institutional operator, as a statesman, as an executive, as a religious leader, as someone who is driving change through an institutional body, through a collective, so that you can understand these thought processes, you can see them live, and you can adopt them through long-form content. Because that's really how we change. Having just like nuggets of insight here and there is powerful, but like completely soaking in someone's mindsets, someone's thought system through a book or through long-form podcasts or through long-form videos like this, that's the thing that allows your subconscious to kind of just be inside of that system and then start shifting on a subconscious level from that place as well. That's what I'm doing here. That's the point of fūmus et cōgitāmus. The point is that we're smoking because this is supposed to be chill. You know what I mean? We're just here vibing. It's supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be unstructured. It's supposed to be unfiltered, because that's how thought often is. And I'm inviting you into my thought process, and I'm really just giving it to you live. I usually just have like an idea of where I want to go with these videos, and then I just hit record. You know what I'm saying? That's why I only record one takes in general. Because the thing is, I already think in first principles. This is how I operate. And I want you to operate the same way. And so the only way to do that is really to invite you into that operating system and let the system itself transform you. So I do. Cheers. A great example that I watched a video by Elon Musk where he was like, kind of just like an interview, super short clip. If you look up like first principles Elon Musk, you'll find this clip. And Elon breaks down, people have this like fundamental belief that like batteries are just expensive. They're just expensive. The market says they'll always be expensive. They're always going to be expensive. But it's like, but is that true though? No. Because it's like, well, what is a battery made of? Right? It's like, we're talking about how expensive a battery is. We're thinking, our epistemology is that since it's always been expensive, it will always be. And so that's how we should act in alignment with it. But it's like, but that ontology is actually flawed. That assumption is actually flawed. Because what the market sells a battery for and how much a battery actually costs to make are two different things. And so Elon was like, well, if we actually go and get the materials and see how much that costs, rather than the battery costing $600, it's more like $80. And it's like, that's fucking crazy, right? That's the power of thinking in first principles. Now, Elon, he was approaching it from more of a physics perspective. And I love physics, but my expertise isn't in physics. I know a lot about physics, but I'm a metaphysicist. I'm a metaphysician. I'm a meta counselor, so to speak. My expertise is in metaphysics, first principles, first causes, not just from a physical level, but from a metaphysical, from beyond the physical. And the thing is, all physical principles reflect the metaphysical principles that are first. You feel what I'm saying? Thinking in first principles, thinking in the first causes, how something operates, not just mechanically in terms of what you can see the mechanics as physically, but the metaphysical mechanics behind the thing, the metaphysical mechanics of transformation. That is what my goal is here with you. And that's why I break down the Hermetic principles and I teach you how to actually apply them in your actual life. That's why for me, talking about metaphysics purely abstractly but not applying them in a way that you can understand at like a systems operational level is fucking a waste of time. You know, like I love just yapping about metaphysics. And if you want to talk to me about metaphysics and just stay in abstract land, I'm cool with that. But for me, I have an objective here when it comes to YouTube. And so when I'm making those translation videos, I'm trying to apply it specifically. And the thing is, I know how these things apply because I've lived them. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to like make up application on the spot. I've already lived the application. And so I'm telling you about it. If you want to hire me for those services, you can talk to me below. Book a 15-minute polymath consult, an interior translation session. You can email me, or you can fill out a Scriptōrium visionary and alignment pressure form. I'm just going to end it off like this. If you're a statesman, executive, or institutional operator, if you're a religious leader, a leader of a government body, a leader of an enterprise, you already know that mind over matter, that my belief system, how I think, is the prerequisite to how I act. You already know that fundamentally. What I'm saying is push your thought system further up. Don't just think in how people operate. Don't just think in psychology. Don't just think in physics. Think in how polarity operates. Think in how transformation operates mechanically throughout the cosmos. Think in metaphysics. I already think in those ways, so that's why I'm here to help you. But if you want to hire me for my services, because I'm always going to understand these things from an inherent level and see them like that, because this has always been my life and my perspective, and I've spent the last 2 years devoting myself to this, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life devoting to this. This is my domain. But like, Your domain might be physics, or it might be art, it might be government, it might be business. And so you don't have the inherent time, you don't have the ability to touch metaphysics with your nervous system all of the time directly. You have to get it through your other domain, through business, through politics, through art. And you can do that, for sure, absolutely. The thing is, you can always see how the metaphysical principles are reflecting in other ways. That's what I do as an interior translator. I see the surface level manifestation, I bring it up to the metaphysical first principles, I translate it back to the first, the service, and then I specifically translate it to you. That's what I do. But I'm basically calling you to see things not as just in motion, but there's actually a still prerequisite that is causing all of the motion. Before there was a stream, before there was a river, there was an ocean. I want to walk you up to the ocean. Feel me? And the thing is, you can do this yourself by just asking questions. At the end of the day, understanding first principles is a lot more about asking questions than knowing answers, to be honest. How do I understand this thing? What is the greater metaphysical principle here? How can I understand how this is operating systematically? When you ask yourself those things, you are opening your mind, you're creating the space for answers to come in. And ultimately, that's the first principle to knowledge. You don't ever get more knowledge if you don't have space to receive it. How do you have space to receive it? By opening it up. How do you open it up? Inquiry. Questions. So ask more questions. And the thing is, you're not going to get answers to a lot of those questions, or at least to some of them. But you will get answers to, you won't get answers to some of those questions, but you'll get answers to a lot of them. And when you act on those intuitions that the answers give you, you start coming to a point where you're able to formulate those understandings. You'll be able to gather enough data to form a conclusion that allows you to reach the first principle. Because once you've walked far enough upstream, you realize, oh, there's no, I can't walk any further. This thing is true because it is. Not because this thing set it in motion, it's just true because it's true. That's first principles thinking. And once you get there, then you rebuild from that place. Personally, I feel like most institutions failed architecturally, our educational systems, our religious systems, even in business and politics at times, for sure, because they forgot the nervous systems they were made for. They forgot the people, the hearts, the desires, the fears, the pains that they were made for, that they were aiming to solve. And so I always kind of walk back and see, well, why is that? It's because the fundamental, the foundation wasn't actually about solving that problem. It was about having this power, having this control. Or somewhere along the way, the desire that was pure got distorted or got lost, and then it became about control. And so we have to walk far enough upstream to see, well, is this a break in the creative process itself? Or is the ontological architectural foundation, is the operating system itself flawed? People don't realize that a break in the creative process, a distortion in the creative process might be a distortion in process, but it is most likely a distortion in fundamental assumption first. It might not be, but that's rarer. And people never walk far enough upstream to actually see that. That's what I'm here to do with Scriptōrium, with the guild. If you want to see how I applied this to AI, check out the video on the channel called An Ontological Diagnostic of AI's True Issue. I break this down more in that video, and you can understand it, how ontology, epistemology, and ethics operate. You can also understand this more if you go to, I believe this was fūmus. Yeah, this was fūmus et cōgitāmus, primum, the first episode, which was titled I forgot what it is. I forgot what on vertical causality is in Latin. Fuck it. But you can find that. Alright, I'm gonna stop yapping. Daimon signing out.